Yes guys, welcome back to another YouTube video, and today I'm going to be discussing why you need to get lean first no matter what your goal is when it comes to building a physique. First of all, who is this video for? So if you are someone that is holding 20% body fat, you've got a belly maybe, you've not been training for a while, this is for you. If you're someone that's been training for a while, you're not super lean, you're also not really fat, you've got like some belly, you can't really see your abs, but you know you want to start a lean gain phase and build some muscle, this is also for you. And even if you're someone that's already super lean, it's also for you, right? What's super interesting as well is, and this was the same for me and a lot of the guys that I've helped, is a lot of guys that haven't got the level of muscularity they want yet will often put off getting lean first because they don't want to feel too skinny, which is super common. I used to fall into this. You know, you get 4 to 6 weeks into a fat loss phase, you lose some weight, you start to go through that phase of looking flatter because you've got less carbohydrates in your muscle cell, less fluid in your muscle cell. And you're like, oh gosh, I feel small. You see the scale weight go down, your clothes are fitting a bit baggier. People maybe comment on your weight loss when you've not even got a large amount of muscle yet. And all of a sudden it feels like a negative thing. It's like only really like overweight, obese people where they lose weight and everyone's like commenting positive things, right? So that can also put you off and make you want to, I need to gain again. And then what happens is, you start gaining, you realize you get 8 weeks into that, you realize you're not lean enough to gain because you get too fat after 8 weeks and you're like, oh my God, I feel too fat, and you start cutting again. And you end up just kind of like yo-yoing between not really finishing a fat loss phase, not really finishing a gaining phase, and not really making the progress you need to make, apart from maybe the newbie gains you might have made in that first year or two of training. That's a big mistake. Now, the cool thing is though, if you look at all these guys here that I've trained, every single one of them, as you can tell, looks significantly more muscular on their after picture. But what I'm about to tell you might blow your mind. In that after picture, they are all at least 8 kilos lighter than they are on the other side. See, as you actually drop body fat, it's a bit of an illusion. You actually start to look more muscular as well. And something else that's super common is if you've not quite got your training nailed down, if your training could be better, like you've not been hitting the resistance training how you should be, the weight training properly, you've not been trying to optimize for performance in the gym, getting stronger in the 6 to 20 rep range over time. What can often happen is once you actually sort your training out, even if you're in a fat loss phase, if your training's not been great, you can actually find that you're actually able to build muscle and drop body fat at the same time, which is also what's happened to some of these guys here. Weirdly, even though you might start to feel skinnier and some of your clothes might feel a bit baggier, you actually, due to the optical illusion of getting in shape, start to look more muscular, look more jacked, and in a lot of cases actually do build some muscle as well at the same time. Now there are only certain cases where it is probably difficult to build much muscle and drop body fat at the same time, and that is guys that have been training consistently really well for a number of years, and that's about it. If you've not been training well for a number of years, if you've not been training consistently, if you've not been doing proper weight training, if you've been trying to do like circuits and high rocks in order to get in shape rather than actual training for muscular adaptation in the gym, in a muscle building setting like traditional weights and doing it right, then you're probably going to be able to build muscle and drop body fat at the same time. Also, if you're coming back from injury, if you are using hormones such as testosterone, all these things are also going to impact how much muscle you can build as you're dropping body fat too. So only really the guys that have been training really well for years that aren't going to build muscle and drop body fat at the same time that well. Another thing that's super important to acknowledge is building muscle takes a long time. Dropping body fat is a fairly straightforward, quick process. You could drop 10% of your body weight in 10 weeks and look completely different. Drop loads of body fat, right? Here's my recent fat loss phase, week 0, and there's me at week 8. And this is me dropping around 15 pounds, right? So you can drop a lot of body fat in a short period of time. Now, me to gain 15 pounds of muscle might take anywhere from, depending on my genetics, 2 to 10 years. So it's actually something that you just want to get ticked off and done. There's no point dragging it out. There's no point overthinking it. You getting lean can be done really quickly, and before you know it, you can crack on with gaining, which is the important bit that takes a long time. And the beautiful thing as well is, if you start off really lean at the start of your gaining phase and you aim to build muscle for the next 12 months, at any point when you want to go on a holiday or do a photo shoot or just like feel good for a specific event that's really important in your life, you're only like 4 to 8 weeks away from being like absolutely diced and in the best shape of your life. Whereas if you start that gaining phase and you're already holding on to a decent amount of body fat, then whenever it comes to actually do your next fat loss phase, depending on how far you're into your gaining phase, it's going to take you months and you might not even get into the shape you want. Let me just pull that all together, right? You get really lean to start with. You then start your gaining phase. You gain around 1% of body weight per month, real slow. You gaining weight super fast isn't going to build the muscle, right? If your training's on point, you only need to fuel just enough to be in a slight surplus in order to build that muscle effectively to make sure you're definitely eating enough to recover. At any point during that phase, you're still always going to look in decent shape because you're never gaining too much body fat, and your start point was so lean, even after a year of gaining, you're still not going to look fat. You're going to look more muscular every single month. And then at any point, if you want to do a quick tidy up and pull back, it's only going to be a short duration until you look absolutely shredded and probably the best you've ever looked. I know there will be some people that have an argument to say that you can build muscle and drop body fat at the same time. I've already covered that a little bit. You can do, it's just a much slower process. So you're better off getting that body fat done quickly, get it off. You might build some muscle in that phase if your training's not been great before then, and then focus on building muscle in the most productive environment possible, which is in a small surplus. But yeah, that's that. If you want to avoid getting way too fat or never getting into the shape you want to be, or just never building any muscle because as soon as you get 8 weeks in, you feel too fat and you have to start again, then please get lean first. You want abs, bicep vein, as lean as you can, and then you've got a long runway of making gains and feeling the best you ever have done. Right guys, speak to you soon. Share this video if you liked it, subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll see you next time. Peace.